back to podcast. This is No Decorum. I'm AJ.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm John.
Welcome back to the show, John.
John, thanks for coming back.
I would look forward to it.
Into the lion's den. Ooh. Don't be that bad.
You're Daniel, I thought.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. In my lion's den. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time.
Sure.
All right. And you want to get started with questions, or did you want to, you said you might want to answer a question from last time that we.
Well, you had a lot of questions that I didn't really know the answer to. And
Sure.
I'll be honest with you. You asked some good questions, and I didn't go that deep into my thinking, and so it kind of haunted me afterwards.
Oh, sure.
One of the questions would be like, why does God need the glory? Remember you were saying that? I think I got an answer for that.
Okay.
I'd have to use a couple of examples. You both are fathers, so that you get this because I'm a father. You have a child.
Mm-hmm.
They grow up and it's time to buy a car, and they plead with you, "Oh, can I have a car?" And you say, "Sure," and you buy it because you love the child, right? But you overhear the kid talking to his friends. Yeah, I worked all summer and I bought this thing with my heart on. Yeah, I saw the look on your face. You see what happens there? How would you feel? The kid takes your credit, takes the glory. Okay, that's one phase of why he deserves the glory. Because if he gives you something, he deserves the glory for that. Second part of that is, I don't know if you remember the analogy I gave of a fireman coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go with a similar analogy. Let's pretend like there's 4 doors, just for sake of simplicity. One door is Hinduism, another one is Buddhism, Judaism, or Islam, whichever, and then one is Christianity. Behind there's 4 doors. Behind 3 of those doors is death waiting for you, horrible death, right? And behind one door is safety. It's the safe way out. That's the only way out. Jesus is standing in front of that door. Buddha standing in front of his door. One of the Hindu gods, or whoever it may be, is behind that. And then Muhammad in front of that door. And if you give God the glory, if he gets the proper credit and people believe in him, you will more likely go to the correct door because you know and trust the person standing in front of that door. Does that make sense as far as why he deserves the glory? Because if he gets the glory, if he's the one doing all the good stuff, then you'll trust him when the chips are down.
Sure. I see why you want to give it to him. Why would he want it, though? As a perfect being, why would he want glory? What would he gain from that?
Again, it's not so
I mean,
much what he wants it
Right.
for. It's not so much that he wants it as the reason. And this is, again, my
Sure.
perception. It's not so much that he wants it as much as he understands that if others get credit for the things he does for you, people won't trust him when the chips are down. So that when it's your last day on this planet and you have chosen the wrong door, you will spend eternity suffering for that mistake. So by everyone giving Jesus the credit that he's due, he's not asking for anything more than what he's due. So by him getting the credit he's due, you'll go, I know this guy. I trust him. I'll go with door number 1 rather than, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I don't trust any of them, so I'll just pick one blindly. And that is the only way I can explain it to you.
No, that's fair. What do you think?
I mean, how do you pick the right door, though? That is the. I mean, how do you?
How do I pick it? My life
I mean,
experiences,
how
of course.
does anybody? I mean,
I guess it's based on experience. I mean,
Some people pick those experiences by what their parents have taught them, or what the world has taught them. But you know what's weird? I've heard of lifelong atheists, agnostics, because someone came to them at the right time and told them the right message about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
They did turn and accept them. And accept him and his message, and for that reason they're saved. It happens all the time, and in the same way, inversely, there are people who maybe grew up as Christians all their life and heard it, and maybe even accepted Christ, but wandered away for whatever reasons they may have, and for that reason, they neglected the message. the
Yeah.
gift, the free gift, I should add.
We've heard both stories. Yeah, it happens both ways. Yeah. Yeah.
So, is that I mean, does God still need acknowledgement? I mean, from people?
Well, I don't know that it doesn't affect his existence,
Yeah,
and it doesn't affect his power or who he is. It affects everybody else's. There's still people out there that need to be saved. Okay, it's kind of like using that fireman analogy. They're still, this time it's not a home; it's a burning building, an apartment complex. He's not just trying to save you. He's got a lot of people to save, and if he happens to be a famous fireman that people recognize because he saved a bunch of people in the past, then when he kicks down your door and says, "Follow me," you will follow him to safety. If you don't know him, or let's say he's not even in uniform, but he's still a fireman, and you recognize him as a fireman because he's famous, and he kicks down your door and he says, "Follow me, I know what I'm doing," you'll follow him because you understand from your experiences and from what others have spoken about him, the glory that he received, that this is not about he needs it to sustain himself. He needs it to save others. And you can't allow your son to take credit for the money you spent on the car that he had nothing to do with. You know what I'm saying? Because it may go much farther than that. There's more involved with it than just. Now, in our case, it's our own pride, obviously. Hey, I bought that car. But that's not who he is. For him, it's more of there's too much at stake. Another thing that you had brought up, and this one always bugged me, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was a good thought. It hurt me when you first said it.
Not my intention.
I know. But hey, if I can't defend why I stand on what I stand, then I'm not defending. I'm standing on nothing. That's my life. That's who I am. You said something about why does God allow suffering? He sits back. I can't remember the exact quote. It was something to the effect of he just sits back and watches others suffer. Do you remember that
Yeah,
point?
along those lines. Yeah.
It's a strong point and scary point. But here's the thing. Do you want free will or not? That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because if he came in and said, you can't do this, and he ran the world like a dictator because our flesh wants to do what we want to do. If he came in here and ran the world like a dictator, you would complain about that. Why does he do that? He's saying, okay, you want free will? I'll give you free will, but this is the consequences of free will.
Did we want free will, or did he give us free will?
He gave you free will knowing that you want it. Let me ask you this. Would you like to go to prison?
Nope.
Okay. Well, they take away your free will. If you really want it, you can always go there, and they'll be more than happy to, or China or Russia. Plenty of places where if you don't like the free will part, they will be more than happy to choke you down. He gave you free will because, again, for him, he wants you to choose him and love him of your own free will because he wants a relationship with his children. You can't have a one-way. If you have a girlfriend that doesn't love you, she's not your girlfriend. I'm sorry. I hate to break your heart. In order for that relationship to exist, you have to have reciprocating feelings. And the only way you can do that is free will. He doesn't want robots. But again, you can have, if your children were robots, wouldn't that be a lot cheaper than the ones we have now? Yeah. If they just go to TI or what is it? What's that place called? Radio Shack, and pick up a robot and say, "Go do this," and he just goes and does it. That's not what we want. We want children to love us for who we are. We want wives to love us for who we are and what we how we interact with one another. Our relationship is the key here.
Okay.
Do we have free will? That the question is. I mean,
for the most part, yes. I mean, you're limited by your own limitations. Let's put it that way. You have the right to come and go as you please within the sphere of influence that you've chosen. If it's America, you have more rights than outside of America, obviously. But obviously you can't go to Pluto unless you design. Since you're all knowing, you can figure that out and design a rocket to go out there. I mean, he's got everything for you there. He's given you the ability to think. Every gift you have, every thought you have, all the sciences that we lean on so heavily were given to us. It's how he does stuff. Science is simply proving how he does stuff, and sometimes that science is wrong because you're only getting a very small picture of a piece of the overall puzzle, and you're trying to make an assumption and say, well, science says this is a fact. Well, that piece is a fact, but the assumption you came up with about what the big picture is not a fact. You're just assuming from that one piece of the puzzle you have. That's why I trust science as long as it fits the overall puzzle.
Sounds like a bias. As long as it fits the
Well,
religious.
isn't that what science is too? It's a bias.
It
You
is,
know,
but it's
you're
based on
leaving God
reality.
out of it. You want religion out of it.
Yeah.
But
Well, it has to be by definition, right?
No.
Yeah, because
Why?
God is supernatural. Science only deals with the natural world. How would
God
you
is-
measure God?
well, we may not be able to measure him yet. Again, you're assuming
Well, that's
he can't
science
be.
also, right?
What's that?
Science also can't do certain things yet.
Yet. All things are, but
Yeah.
but you're basing your life around what little piece of puzzle science discovered.
There's quite
And
a
you're-
bit to discover, though, right? It's
sorry?
not a little piece. I mean, the whole
Well,
world.
there's lots of little pieces, but
Sure.
this is like a jigsaw puzzle with a trillion pieces.
Yeah.
And you found, I'll give you credit, 1 billion. Good luck. You still don't know what the big picture is. There's lots of pieces there
I
that
think
haven't been
it's-
connected.
It's done more than religion has.
I'm sorry?
It's done more than religion's done. More answers, anyway.
I don't know.
I mean, we
I
navigate
don't know.
the world as it is.
I'm sorry?
We navigate the world as it is because of science, not because of religion. Like you drive
I
your
don't
car.
know. One of the first things that what was his? Sir Isaac Newton said when he discovered the theory of gravity was, "I can prove that God exists." He approached it as, "I just discovered another piece of how God does what He does."
Yeah, well, he's
So you
religious
can do it.
also.
I'm sorry?
He's religious also,
Yes,
right?
and he's a scientist also.
Yeah.
And he managed to fit that together. He's one of the geniuses of humanity, correct? Anyone doubt that?
Not at all.
And so when he uses that genius combined with God, he gets answers that make sense that we can still all use.
But atheist scientists find answers also.
I'm sorry?
Atheist scientists find answers without God, resorting
Sure,
to God.
but the problem is they find, again, a piece of a puzzle, okay? But they can't seem to fit it with the rest. And I gave you examples. How was Big Bang Theory? Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
And you said there was nothing. That nothing exploded into everything there is. So the explosion creates chaos, but out of chaos comes perfect balance and order. Science says you cannot. This is a law of science. Says that you cannot create order from chaos. That is one of the laws of science.
And the Big Bang
we'll
is,
ignore
yeah.
that piece of the puzzle because that doesn't fit my theory. That's what these are. These
The
are
Big Bang
theories.
is only one.
I'm sorry?
Well, the Big Bang is only one option of how that could have happened. There's many other options. So the inflationary theory, the expansionary model.
Sure,
There's
sure,
many more.
Sure, but do you see how quickly you grasp at something just so you can disprove God? Because for the longest time, Big Bang worked, and all of these are theories. Why are they theories? Because they have a piece of a puzzle and says, I think this looks like this, whatever this is.
Yeah.
And we're going to create this universe, leave God out of it. What if the very canvas that you're trying to ignore is is the piece that you need to solve your overall puzzle?
Could
You understand
be,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well, that could be that religion's also a theory as well. It's. I mean, you can prove.
I will give you that
Yeah.
because there are different types of religion, and everyone, again, this is man.
I'd say take your pick, but
I'm sorry?
it doesn't matter which one you choose. They're all the same as far as that goes. There's
To
no-
some.
yeah.
For me, the world makes sense through my faith in Christ and how it's written out in the Bible. It makes sense. And unless you come up with a complete theory, not a partial theory or a law, and even those laws have been changed every time we discover a new facet, right? I mean, a lot of the laws of
The laws don't really change very much at all, actually.
Well,
Frontier
you know,
science changes.
Now you notice when you take it to the quantum level, everything changes.
That's true.
Okay,
That's
so
true.
again,
But
laws are only valid in a certain viewpoint. In a certain, actually, it's relative to the viewpoint of the viewer. Everything changes when you change the environment that it's in.
That may be true, but those laws still, we use those to navigate reality. They still work, right?
This reality, yes.
Well, that's all we can, what else can we perceive?
Well, then how did we come up with quantum science?
By-
Because that doesn't work under the laws and rules of this
Well, I mean,
reality.
it started with mathematics first.
Yes.
It was theoretical models. And
Absolutely.
Then, and then you can observe it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how science works. So I don't know how religion works, but that's how science works. That's how it should work, right?
Sure.
Come up with the models first, and then you observe it in nature.
Okay.
Religion can't do that. You can observe God in nature.
You
can pretend you
can't?
can.
Well, let's
No,
put
you
it there.
can't.
well, how you observe God in nature, and an analogy.
Yeah.
All right. You can't see a tornado, can you?
You can see the effect of the tornado.
Ta-da! And that's how God is. But tornadoes are powerful. If you don't believe in it, it doesn't matter. When it comes over your house, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay? But you see the effect that tornado has in its environment.
Because of the laws we have of physics and how that works. Now, there's nothing like that for God. That's just a belief. That's nothing. That's all it is.
And yet he seems to have effect on his environment and the people around him. And I've given you example after.
You've given an example of your own experiences.
Yes.
But
So
that's
how
all
do you
that is.
explain? How do you explain a voice telling me to put on my seatbelt? What does a voice have to do with me? Who was the voice?
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was your internal voice. Maybe it was your
I
own-
have an internal voice that's psychic. Are we going back to being psychic?
I don't
and
know
that's
what
science?
you have. Actually, I don't know what's going on in your head, but
Well, something keeps saving my life, and it comes as a voice telling me to do a certain thing, and when I do it, it saved me.
yeah.
So
Maybe it's intuition.
I mean, if you
that's just another fancy word for psychic. As far as intuition, how do you have intuition about going through a green light at 2 a.m. when there's no traffic
Who
out?
knows? Who knows? Yeah.
all right,
You
I want to go back to
Okay.
your
Huh?
example of tornadoes.
Yeah.
Okay, tornadoes, they can come all over the United States, but they
All over
seem
the
to
world.
come only in certain part of the United States. I mean, there has to be.
They're prone
there is
to
a
certain
law.
areas. Sure.
Yeah, so
But
I
it
mean,
can happen anywhere. You know that. Anywhere in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they can happen anywhere, but for some reason, they only happen in over Texas, over Oklahoma, the most religious part of the United States.
What are you saying? He's punishing his
no,
followers.
no. I understand
so
what
I'm
you're saying.
So certain laws work in that, and
Work.
yeah, I mean
Well,
because
The
in
reason
Texas
is
and
this is
Oklahoma,
Tornado Alley.
Yeah, so it lies, in a weather pattern where these things happen. So
Are
I mean,
prone to happen. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, prone to happen.
Sure.
So if God is doing that, why doesn't He do it over San Francisco, where the most?
You're asking me to
He
think
gives
for
them
why God
no,
does this.
He
or
gives
God-
them earthquakes. That's why. Yeah.
Let's put it this way, and you know what you're saying is valid.
Sure.
Which is each area has its faults. Where one place may not have a tornado, they may have avalanches. Another place has floods, typhoons. And the world is broken. There's no doubt about it. It has the things that bring you blessings are the things that bring you curses, right? Earthquakes created continents. Earthquakes create other opportunities. Fires are disastrous, kill people, but wherever a fire wipes out a forest, it comes back greener than before. It's a way of renewing what was there. Now, I think as an atheist or a non-believer, I can understand why people fear death. Because for you, this is it. This is the end, right? For me, I don't see death as an end. It's a beginning.
I don't think it's to be feared either. It shouldn't be feared.
I agree.
that's a good thing.
100%. I am 100%
Yeah.
with you. I don't fear it. It just my family freaks out when I say that. And the reason we fear it is we fear the loss of a loved one.
Sure.
Because now for a Christian, it hurts because I'm not going to get to hang out with my mom for years, but I know I'll see her again someday. Okay, so I have that hope.
I mean, those are pacifier type of.
You assume that as pacifier type. I don't. I know. You had brought up that Jesus.
I mean,
didn't-
there is no. Sorry to cut you off,
no
but
problem.
I'm saying, I mean, there is no. We're not arguing that religion doesn't provide comfort for people.
Well, no, I'm giving you
Yeah.
proof.
Yeah. So these are the things that.
How do you?
I mean,
explain
death is kind of hard to deal with anyway. So
How do you explain the paranormal? That's science, right? You have these haunted houses and all these
I
weird.
don't think that's science.
Science doesn't believe in that.
Okay. Well,
Well, yeah.
Well, you have paranormal activity, and I suspect those are lost spirits or our souls or whatever that are just caught in limbo. I don't know. I'm not saying I know.
Yeah.
I know there's something weird going on.
don't
I
believe
know
that.
there's something weird. I
I know.
understand. I understand. Again, but there are lots of people who have experienced that. They go, "Oh no, there's something going on," and there are scientists who have tried to calibrate their equipment to catch this stuff, and they can't. But they know something happened.
Yeah.
And they're not quacks. You've had different experiences because you're in a realm that doesn't really look for that. Now, to me, the fact that Jesus, now you even made a comment, well, when he died, he knew he was going to die and suffer and all that, so it wasn't really a sacrifice. Of course it was a sacrifice. Yes, he knew he was going to rise from the grave. Now, I'm going to assume he knew. it doesn't say in the Bible that he knew, but and in fact, when Jesus came in bodily form, he did restrict himself. You see that several times in the gospel, that he didn't give himself access to everything that he could have, as far as knowledge and whatnot. So he may or may not have known. All he knew is that the perfect had to die for the imperfect, and that's what he set his mind to doing, and that's what he did. He lived a perfect life to show you that it can be done, but also because that's who he is. He didn't falter. And after that, he let the very people he came to save torture and kill him, hang him up, and then he was dead. Everyone agreed he was dead. They put him in a tomb. 3 days later, he wasn't in that tomb anymore. They had guards on the tomb door. No one can explain how he got out of there.
According to the story, of course.
Well, the biblical story, yes, but also there are
Extra biblical?
Oh yeah, exactly. I'm glad you went there. You guys heard of Josephus? Okay,
He's been discredited many times now.
Many times. Well, here's the thing. Now, Josephus, in case you didn't know, he was a Jewish general who happened to be also a historian. Now, he mentions Jesus and the things that he did, and he's Jewish. He's not. He's on the other side of this fence. He's one of the people that thought this guy was a heretic and wanted to kill him. But in his own writings, I believe it's in the War of the Jews, that he wrote that this man existed, Jesus, and he did great miracles, and he died, and these Christians buried him, and he came back to life, and the tomb was empty. I mean, he corroborates,
but he didn't see that though.
Nobody saw.
That's my point.
Except for maybe the soldiers.
It's hearsay. It's all hearsay. That's not actual history.
Okay. Well, the problem with that is, did you see the universe be created?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you have any witnesses at all? Mm-mm. So why should we believe your side of why the universe existed? We put people to death over eyewitness testimony.
We do.
Okay. So, and in the court of law, eyewitness testimony could put you in jail. It's good enough for that, but not enough to say that Jesus existed. There's a little bit of bias there, if you ask me.
People that talk about Jesus
I'm sorry?
didn't exist at the time when Jesus was there.
Say that again.
The people that talk about Jesus, they were not there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure I understand. You're talking about his disciples?
His
Are you
disciples
saying when he was resurrected?
I mean, nobody saw that.
Saw what? Be specific on the what? On
The
that.
resurrection?
Yeah. Or most of the the gospel that's written is those John and Matthew. These people were not his buddies.
Oh, they were his friends. They were absolutely. They were considered his friends. That goes without question. They were dear friends. Excuse me. If you're talking about John and Matthew and Peter and the apostles, they were his best friends, honestly.
Did they walk with him?
I'm sorry?
I don't.
Yeah. Of course they walked with him.
Because the Gospels were written much
later.
Later after he died.
Yeah.
Okay. They are written, you can't say much later, after he died.
But 30 years, right? It's the earliest one?
Roughly that we have found anyway. But Matthew was one of the people, one of his disciples. Matthew Levi was a tax collector that he called to join his clique of 12. Mark and Peter, and Mark was Peter's nephew and Barnabas's nephew.
Assuming Mark wrote that gospel, we don't know that.
Well, it's actually that Peter had Mark write it for him.
Because scholarship is unclear on that right now. They don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess I can tell you that tradition says that. I'm not going to lie one way or the other. The writings are ancient. They're from the same century as he walked, and they are from eyewitnesses. In fact, many of them tell you that they are eyewitnesses of Christ. John tells you straight up he was an eyewitness of everything that he wrote. He wrote it later in life, yes. Probably because, and most of these guys are probably writing it because they realize their time here on earth is limited, and in fact, most of these, like there are several that are prison epistles. They are getting ready to be executed, and they want to make sure that the message keeps on going. While they were here on this planet, they were eyewitnesses, but they're not going to be here much longer because Nero and others that don't like the message they're preaching are going to take them out. Many of them are written while they are hanging up. They have no reason. The thing is, many of these people are the eyewitnesses that you claim are not, are willing to die for this man that supposedly, according to y'all, didn't exist, didn't do the things he did. Peter was hung upside down on a cross to his death because he didn't want to be crucified in the same manner as the Lord. Okay? That's a lot of extra torture he went through for nothing. Paul gets beheaded. John, who lived the longest, he lived to be an old man, but he was boiled in oil, still preaching all the way to the end, thrown in on a island prison, still preaching. They want to make sure that everyone else gets a chance. So they dictate to these people, they call amanuenses, they dictate the story that they remember from their walk and everything that he told them. And what they witnessed, as well as see, and here's the other thing. When Jesus died and was resurrected, now everyone knew he died. They saw him hanging up on the cross. They saw the spear being jabbed into his side. They saw him being buried. Now, if it ended there, and then everything was just, I assume this is what happened, and this is what happened. When he came back, he actually walked with them again, as they witnessed to. They gave witness to the fact, and not just to the 12, but to like 500 other people.
Allegedly. I mean,
No matter what I say, you'll say allegedly.
They don't have
So
their
we'll-
accounts. That's what I'm saying.
sorry?
We don't have their accounts. 500 people.
Of course we do.
Where?
Well, look
500
at
accounts? Really?
well, not all 500.
didn't think so.
No. But let's put it this way. He came back and he preached to them, this group, and told them of Christ, and told them of everything that he wanted to tell them, and of what they're going to have to go through if they follow him. They told him this is not going to be an easy life. He told them it's not going to be an easy life. I'm not here to convince anybody. There was a time, as I was mentioning before, when I felt like I have to convert you. I have to. And the reality of it really set in. I mean, if Jesus, who walked this earth, only converted a handful of people during the time he's walking, what are the odds that a mere human is going to do anything greater? My job is not, and to be honest with you, as a Christian, my job is not to convert you. My job is just to tell you about the gospel. Prime example, actually, Jesus gave a great parable about this, and I'll give you a synopsis rather than going too much into detail. But he basically said there was a sower who went out to sow seed, and as he's walking along sowing seed, the old-fashioned way of throwing it. Some of the seed fell to the roadside, and the birds of the air came and picked it up. Other seed landed on a rock, and the seed immediately sprung up, but because there was no depth of root, it withered away and died. Other seed landed in soil, but the weeds came up and choked it out, so it didn't bear any fruit. But other seed landed on good soil, and that seed grew up and bore fruit. 20, 30, 40 bushels, and then when his disciples asked him, what does that mean? He said, well, the seed that fell by the wayside, that's the seed is, first of all, the word, and the sower is the Son of Man, Jesus. And that seed that landed on the roadside and the birds that came to pick it up, that was the devil. It never took root, never had a chance because the devil snatched it before it ever took root in. The other one landed on the rocky soil, on the rocks. It's those people that hear the word, they immediately take it, but because there's no depth, it didn't really take deep root in them. It just kind of faded away, and they went on about their business. And then there's the seed that landed in the soil but was choked out by weeds. Well, those are the people that they accepted the word, but the worries of the world and riches and wealth choked out the word, so they didn't produce any fruit. But then there was the seed that landed on rich soil, and that is the seed of the people that accept the word, and it takes root in them, and they produce fruit in keeping with repentance, as I mentioned to you. So there's many people out there, and I don't know which you are, and I haven't decided. And it's not for me to decide, because I know of a lot of people where I spoke to them. They fought me tooth and nail, and unfortunately, I fought right back because that was my character. I don't give up. I just want... And someone else came along with the same word, and it just gave enough water to take root in them, and they're amazing believers. So I will just simply speak the truth as I have known it, and you accept it or you don't, and I accept that, and love you guys either way. I love and accept it.
Fair enough.
So that's how it is. So.
Yep.
So
All right,
does
sounds
that? Does that motivates people to do good things? Does religion provide that?
I would say religion possibly does. Some religions don't, but some do. It just depends on the type of religion. I believe my relationship with Jesus does. And I have my bad days. I'll be honest with you. I have serious back problems. I know I'm eventually going to have surgery. Can't afford to do that right now because it would take me out of my business. I have to work. My knees are jacked up, constantly swollen. I know I'm going to have new knees. My shoulder, I've had 4 heat strokes. I mean, you name it, I'm a broken person, okay? And there are a lot of days where I'm just in pain. And I just say, man up, deal with it and move on. That's how I've dealt with life. I don't whine about it, just get on with it. But on those days that are really bad, I know I'm not in the most Christ-like mood. I'll see a man standing on the street begging for food, and I just will ignore him and drive past. But I do know that there are other days that I can't. I will find the nearest 7-Eleven, the nearest McDonald's or whatever is close by, go and get them the largest meal I can and drop it off to them and say, Lord bless you, and leave. But they're great people, unlike me, like Mother Teresa, who gave up her whole life taking care of lepers. I mean, there are people who give up their whole life taking care of orphans and widows, all in the name of God. And those people got it. They get the message. They understand.
But do you think Mother Teresa did it just because of religion, or maybe that's just the way she was?
She did it because of her faith. That's my understanding. That was the conversion. That was the change that took place in her. Even today, I mean, I hate using myself as an example.
I mean, even if you use, just to use your example, like you said, you drive by some days just without even looking, and some days you stop and give. But on both occasions, you are the same person and believe in the same God.
I am a human being, and and Mother Teresa, if you read some of her writings, tells you about some of her real down days where she had a hard time believing there was a God. She suffered with it. She's, because as we see the suffering in the world, we cry out to God because He gave us this passion for people, and it hurts us to see people suffer. I mean, that's just it. It breaks me sometimes. I hate seeing children crying and they're starving to death. It kills me. It haunts me. And I cry out to Him and say, can't you just stop it? Just stop the world. I'm done. Stop it. Just do the resurrection now. Finish this. Enough suffering. He could step in. And like you said, why didn't He stop it? Well, there are a lot of people out there that still haven't accepted the Lord yet. And because they haven't accepted the Lord yet, if He stopped it right now and took free will away from us, there are several people that are going to end up in hell. You too, possibly.
And they will anyway, right?
If they don't accept Him.
Well, there is going to be some mass number of people who don't go to heaven. So
exactly.
We know that.
There's absolutely. Yeah. The Lord told you.
Yeah.
Because they took the easy way. The parable of the roadways. There's the narrow way is difficult, and there are very few that find it. And then there's a wide way that's easy. Go with the flow. Hey, you get to do what you want. What makes you feel good? Go for it. Unfortunately, keep in mind, it was that's what made Hitler feel good too, killing a bunch of Jews. That's what made Saddam Hussein behave the way he did. That's what makes all the persecutions of the world, Christian or not, do what they did because it felt good.
Did it make God feel good when He destroyed the world?
When He destroyed the world?
When He destroyed people?
He hated it. But
he
realized...
Can He hate like that?
Can He hate?
Yeah.
Yeah, He can hate evil. There's no doubt about it. Let's put it this way. Destroying the world is a horrible thing in our eyes. But imagine there are 8 people on the planet that are good and kind and merciful. All the rest are just scavengers is a good way to say it. They will rape, they will kill, they will torture. And He, having the power to intervene in this moment, says, I have 8 righteous and I have billion that are not. I'm just going to wipe it clean and start over again with these 8.
You think He would have known better because nothing's changed? There's still rapists and murderers and nothing Why would he not know that was going to be the case?
He does know better, but there's more than 8 people now that are righteous in there. And,
I don't know.
And,
Are there?
you know, he actually gave a parable about something similar like that, and about that very thing. And he used the sower sowing the seed type of thing. And he said, he in a paraphrase, I don't want to get this a long one, but in a paraphrase, he said, "Well, I could do that, but I'm going to wait till the end time, and then I'm going to send out my angels, and they're going to harvest up the crop." And because unfortunately, if we try to rip up the bad, the good is going to die with it. If I flood the earth, if I send a meteor or whatever, so I'm going to try to minimize that casualty and try to save as many people. And there's a time that God has sent in His own wisdom. Yeah. We can always question, but I do know in my own life that what I thought was the answer, after living a few years and looking back, go, oh, that wasn't the answer. I am so glad that didn't happen the way that I wanted it to happen. And same way, you guys in your mind, you just know what you know is right. And then later on, as life goes on, you realize, that wasn't quite right. And that's what it comes down to. But God, when He looks, He sees, and He's done the math, and He understands the math perfectly. And He likes how the equation ends up, and He has chosen it. You can't question it. I don't question it anyway. I knowing that His math is always correct, I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. I understand that there are going to be people that die. There are going to be people that suffer. Yeah. But again, what is the alternative? And again, I'm thinking through human minds. I'm a finite mind here. We can always criticize. Everyone loves to criticize. We like to criticize politicians. Mm-hmm. But until you're there and you're suddenly surrounded by a bunch of people that are saying one thing, and they're your party, and you see it a different way, and they force you to do this, even though you said to yourself, I will not do this, because when I get there, I'm going to change the world. And when you get there, you're just one of them. Yep. And that is unfortunately our human broken nature. With God, He knows, and He's not wishy-washy like we are. He knows the right thing. I trust Him to do the right thing. He's always done the right thing as far as I'm concerned. Again, my ability to foresee the future is not there. I'm not psychic. I don't know what those stories made you think, but I'm not psychic, and I trust Him to take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up Saddam Hussein. I mean that he did bad things.
Bad topic. I'm sorry,
but I mean, in the same thing, when George Bush went after Saddam, he said that God is on our side.
Well,
and at the same time, the people that attacked the United States, they said the same thing. God was on their side. So
who's right?
I mean,
remember what I told you last time?
It's not about who's right, but what Bush did in the name of his God went and killed a bunch of other innocent people that had nothing to do with what the other people did.
I'm not going to judge George Bush on right or wrong. I thought the invasion of Iraq was wrong. I'll tell you, I told it then to my friends at church. I told it to my family. I thought he did what it was wrong. Now, however, it's easy for me to sit here. Yeah. Now, I want to believe what he said, which is that the facts that he had in front of him, which there's no doubt that Dick Cheney fed him all the wrong facts. Okay, he trusted the people. I'm going to try to put this diplomatically.
I understand that, but
he worked with what he was given. The information he received, I'm trusting him.
Now, what I was trying to get at was he did that in the name of God also, without realizing that he was doing it in the name of God.
Without realizing he was doing it in the name of God?
I mean, because he's backed it up saying it was God is on our side because we're the good people.
Right. Let's put it this way. We all rationalize. Sure. Okay, you don't have to have God to make a rationalization. Okay, we do that every day. You guys who don't believe make rationalization to accept the consequences of your actions, to help you deal with it, to cope. It's a coping mechanism. Okay, I would like to think that not all, because I am still human, as much as possible, the decisions I make are made keeping God in the forefront of my mind, okay? That I try to make good thoughts, that good decisions based on what would make my Father happy, my Heavenly Father happy. I try to live that way. And sometimes I make a wrong call. I am human. I didn't say I was omniscient. If I think I need to go left, I will ask him. And if that's, I told you, before I vote, I fast.
Right.
And what I hear from him, that's the path I take. I could be wrong. So far in my mind, I have not been wrong. The decision brings me peace because I didn't vote for Donald Trump. And I feel justified after the way he behaved for 4 years and after that I did the right thing. I chose the right path. And everyone before also, whether they won or lost, I feel comfortable in my decision because I feel like, first and foremost, I did what my God required of me. According to what the Bible said, this is the type of person I would like to lead. I know that's a hot topic for y'all. Y'all want to keep religion out of politics. And for the most part, I agree with you because God, the Lord my God, told me we're supposed to submit to the governing authority. Well, whether you believe it or not, the president and the Congress is not the governing authority. The Constitution is, okay? And so I'm a strict constitutionalist. I want the people that I vote into office to follow the rules of the Constitution. That protects me. In the Constitution, it says that the government will not take sides on religion, okay? So what that does is it protects my faith as well as your non-faith,
Sure.
as well as other religions. And I'm happy with that. I don't want to stuff Christ down your throat because either you're going to take it or you're not. You accept the word or you're not. I don't want, right now, we are the popular party, the popular religion in the country, although that's fading quickly. I know a lot of people used to say they're Christians, but they really aren't. But what I know is if a president is truly Christian, he's tethered by morals. There's a governing set of principles, if he's truly Christian, that he's tethered to, and he will tend not to break free from that. Now, I believe, no matter how y'all believe, I don't believe Donald Trump was Christian at all. If you ask any of the questions, let's put it this way. I remember an interview that he did. It was so funny. And it would have been easy. This was a gimme. This is a soft pitch. A lady asked him, do you answer to a higher power? That would be one of those, give me that one. I want that
Softball,
one.
huh?
Softball. How does he answer? Every so often, I eat that little cracker and drink that juice. Does that sound like a Christian to you? That's the answer he could give you? That's when he said, do you answer to an higher? That sounds like someone dodging the topic to me.
And
Okay.
apparently that was enough. Convinced a lot of people.
Because he ran as a Republican. And most of them, I don't think they really looked at his background because he was a Democrat most of his life, guys. You understand that? He was a Democrat most of his life. That's you guys.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And you vote Democrat with him. The whole time he was voting Democrat, you were voting Democrat. Can you say you're a Democrat and not like him? Oh, that's the other part of this that I wanted to mention. Please
we
lump all-
don't vote Democrat because of Democrat. We
But
vote,
specific policies, correct?
we vote Democrat because they tend to have the same policies that we want.
For specific policies.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're right back to where I was saying. And when you ask me that question, can a Christian be Republican? You're assuming that we hold on tightly to all of Republican standards. You guys have heard of the log cabin Republicans?
The gays. Homosexuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a Republican party. Okay. There's many in the Republican Party that do not stand behind that.
I would say
Okay.
most. Their
Okay,
platform pretty much says-
but again, they are a caucus within the Republican Party.
Yep.
But that just proves to me that we all have our pet projects that we want seen.
But the core beliefs of Christians do not line with Republican Party. Look the other way.
Look the other way. What do you
Um,
mean?
Turn the other cheek.
Oh,
Yeah.
turn the other cheek. Look the other way.
I
Turn the
mean,
other cheek. Okay.
turn the other cheek. I mean,
Do you answer to a higher power? Yes, we can look the other way. But no problem.
and you know, taking care of the poor.
Well,
Things like that.
again,
Republican Party do not believe in
I think
any
it's
of those
it's
things.
the abortion
well,
issue.
And the-
that's that again. You're focusing on the majority of the party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the majority of the party doesn't believe in gays, yet they have a gay caucus. Okay, majority of the party.
Believe me, they don't want them.
They don't want them.
They don't want them.
It
I
may be
mean-
so. Well, again, your assumption. They haven't kicked them out. They could, if they didn't want them, they could just say,
No, they want their money.
We dissolve your party. You're not allowed to be in party.
I mean, they want their money. I mean,
Okay.
the log cabin Republicans are the richest Republicans out there. One of the
Well,
richest.
Donald Trump and his like
Yeah.
have been in the Democratic Party for a long time. He was a Democrat much longer than he was Republican. Okay,
Sure.
I don't remember any of you guys coming out. You just wanted his money. I don't remember you guys coming out saying, "We don't want you here. Your perverted, weird ways do not belong in our party." You said, "We have a big tent. As long as you bring in the money, we'll accept you." Is that not your? There was a reason he was a Democrat all his life.
I mean,
Up to 4 years before.
Well, he's from New York, so.
Yeah, well, there you go.
He's
Yeah.
in.
And
mean,
he loved Hillary Clinton until then, when she was his governor and excuse me, not governor, senator, and supported Bill Clinton and all these wonderful people.
Actually, he gave money to all the bozos.
He did.
I mean, he gave them to Republican bozos and Democrat bozos. I mean, to him, it really didn't matter because he wanted certain things done for his business. So, I mean,
Okay.
that was his thing.
And so you now have given me the exact ammo I was hoping you'd come to. I fished it out there, and now you reeled it right back to me.
Golf
Thank
course
you.
trap, AJ.
Thank you. And the real reason is, again, just like him, there are people in the Republican Party that don't believe in the whole platform. Okay, they have specific reasons that draw them. For us, abortion is huge. Killing babies is not. And I know some people. My daughter, my oldest daughter, argues with me about this. She refuses to believe they're babies until they come out of the womb. They're not babies. That's a rationalization. It's a baby. Okay, I can't see that as anything other than a baby. And
I mean, if that's what you believe, then why Republican Party denies health care? Once they're born, they say, "You on your own."
You're
Once
good-
you're
it's a-
born, you're just
again,
on your own.
that is the party platform. Okay, I can't say you're on your own because I will say that at least in my church and many of the churches I've heard of, we give to the poor a lot.
But that's
okay?
not the party
believe,
does that, though.
they believe. I can tell you as Christians, we believe in doing personally, not having the government do it. Although, if you read the Bible,
I don't
it
think
tells
that's
you-
true.
What's that?
Christians vote Republican so they'll change the laws
They
to
do.
suit them. That's why they do it.
Oh, yes, but the laws they want to change. I'll give you a prime example. I have a buddy who just loves guns. I wouldn't say he loves them more than me, but he loves them a lot, okay? He loves guns. And he texted me the other day, and he was kind of upset, of course, about the Biden thing. He said, John, in our home groups, I mentioned, I'm not quiet about my views on how the party needs to come back to center instead of being too far to the right and following Trump. And I said if the law of the land becomes that since the law of the land is currently abortion is illegal, it's illegal. I mean, it's legal until you change the law. That is the law of the land. And if they tell you to do something that is against the Bible, that's the only time you're allowed to stand. And
but Republicans had the chance to change the law. They had
and they got 3 judges now. It's just this close
mean,
to having
no.
it done.
not
Congress
not
can
the
do that.
judges. I mean, they had Congress.
law,
They
by
had
law.
They
Senate.
can do it by law. They never did it.
They had Senate. They had Republican presidents. They had it during Bush time. They
You're preaching to the
have-
choir right now.
Yeah.
So
I
why
said
did-
this at the last meeting we had.
I mean, so what I'm trying to get at was, that they had
They
these
suckered
things.
us.
They
They suckered us.
They just
Yes.
didn't want
yes,
to. Do it.
Yeah.
So-
you're preaching to the choir now. Preach that way. I'm telling you, I'm right there with you. I say an amen to that.
So if they're
So
voting
the-
for that reason, then why keep voting that way anyway?
Yeah.
If they're not going to help you out.
because you're holding out hope, and they finally got it. Unfortunately, we got it through the most despicable human being that walked the planet, but they got it. Now they couldn't do it the legal channels because they understand. Well, they couldn't do it through Congress passing laws because once they said the Supreme Court said it's unconstitutional, you have to make it a constitution. You got to make it a constitutional amendment to change that, and you have to have overwhelming, not just having the House and the Senate. Because that'd be an unconstitutional law they're writing, which means that automatically it is null and void.
That's what's unconstitutional. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, Roe versus Wade, when the Supreme Court decided that banning abortion is unconstitutional, the only way you can overturn it now is to make it an amendment in the Constitution.
Or they can overturn it themselves.
Bingo.
Yeah.
They realize
But they haven't
that here's the thing. They realize that the hurdle to go over of creating a law that would be an amendment is huge. You're talking 2/3 of the House and Senate overriding it, so you can override a veto, which he has no say in a constitutional amendment. And then you got to have the states ratify it, 3/4 of the state. That's a huge hurdle. It's easier because precedent shows that that something that the Supreme Court rules as constitutional one day can be turned unconstitutional another. Brown versus the Board of Education and so on. I mean, just look at history.
Yeah.
So they focus their interests on flipping the court so that when this topic comes up again, we didn't have enough before because Roberts swung the other way. But now there are so many there, it doesn't matter if Roberts does because we still have 5 super conservative judges now. If the topic comes up, it's going to be illegal.
But
So
the thing
they
is,
got what they wanted.
okay.
Now,
I mean,
we'll see
even
what happens
that,
after that.
I mean, even if we have abortion as legal or illegal, why does it matter to the people? I mean, nobody's asking you to have an abortion. If you don't want to have an abortion, don't have one.
Well,
You're making us live by your rules.
Yeah.
Well,
As Christians.
okay, follow my thinking in this.
I mean,
okay, go ahead.
just
You got more?
one more point to that. So that
I just
we
want to
can-
make sure I address
yeah.
this point. Don't let me forget them.
Yeah, so we can follow along the same lines. The point is, if the Republican Party believes in freedom, personal responsibility, and all that, why do they have to impose their will, or when it comes to abortion? If you believe in free
Can I
will
answer
and
it?
personal responsibility, then there's no imposing. I mean, you are responsible for your own self.
Okay. Well, I don't want to interrupt.
Okay.
This is easy. You give me another softball. Okay. You get mad at your kid. Why can't you just kill him? Start over. Redo. Hey, I noticed you did that triple blink on that one. It hit you dark, didn't it? It hit you really hard.
First of
And
all,
that's because it's a child, it's a person, it's a human. Well, they view that humanity started before birth. At conception is when a human being is a human. Okay, if my view is that you are not allowed to kill, and that I don't care if that's a religious view or an atheist view. I think we all agree you are not allowed to kill. So in their mind, you're saying, oh, well, I don't believe I'm actually killing you, so I'm going to kill you. Well, why don't I just change that? Why don't I kill you and take what you have? Because I don't really believe that should be legal because that's my belief. We set restrictions on what you can and cannot do, even in a free country. And one of the rules that we all agree on is thou shalt not kill. Whether you like it being stated with a thou, or you go to prison for killing somebody, or get electric chair.
That is a. If we give that people do not have a choice of producing kids, then there is a. I mean,
where do we say we can't produce kids? Now, China, sure.
No, what I'm saying is, there is people choose to have kids, right?
Sure. Yeah, we choose to have kids or not have kids.
Okay, so it's if you're choosing something to do, then you're supposed to be able to control your own body at that time.
You have control over your own body until it affects. I can carry a gun until I take that gun out and shoot you. Okay, I controlled my body to the point that I pulled the trigger on you. Your rights do not extend beyond you. Okay, and if you step out of that,
I didn't get that.
Well, let me say that
So
again.
it doesn't extend to the baby, like you can't.
Yeah,
can't override his
you're
rights.
trying to say that a baby isn't a life. Okay, if a baby wasn't a life, I agree with you, but a baby is a life. Okay, why don't we just say we'll let the baby be born. If you like the color of the kid or the male or female, the gender, whatever you decide as a parent, it's my right. I should be able to kill the baby right there. But that is unacceptable. And the reason you're seeing it your way is you refuse to see the baby as a baby until it comes out of the womb. We see babies as a baby at conception. That's the
Even as a group of cells.
Even as a group of cells.
That's odd.
Well, if it isn't anything, I see what you're saying, but if it isn't anything, leave it alone. See what happens. What does it become? A full-grown baby that you recognize. And even now, there are things that we would call babies with heads and hands and feet that we cut up into little pieces and pull out of the body and say, well, it wasn't a baby. No, it looked like a baby to me. Sucking a thumb and the whole 9 yards, but it wasn't convenient.
Wasn't it the same push to stop executions, capital punishment?
What about it?
Why is there no push for Christians to stop capital punishment? If life is all valuable, why doesn't that matter?
I guess the reason, and I can only guess, because I have my own bias in this particular one, in this particular fight. But if you take a human life,
what does the Bible say about that? It didn't say that.
It used to be eye for an eye.
No,
but
no,
now,
this is not
not
the Old
anymore.
Testament.
Now it is turned the other cheek.
But you brought that up for a reason.
I agree with you. No, absolutely,
It's
I
kinda
did.
slippery.
No, it is a slippery slope.
No. When you do that,
part of, I'm sorry.
When you did that was kind of slippery. Eye for an eye. We don't go by the Old Testament. Nobody
don't.
uses that.
We don't.
Well,
No,
why'd you bring it up?
Well, you said the Bible doesn't say that. I'm
Well,
saying
the
it
one you
does
follow.
in the Old Testament. Okay, but in the New Testament, it's turned the other cheek.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and we brought this topic up last time also, because we as humans want justice. Justice. We really don't want justice. If we wanted justice, we'd all be doomed. To be honest with you, we're all dead. But we demand justice, and because of that, the laws are written in such a way as to. And I'm going to be cold, hard fact here. I think a lot has to do with money. We don't want to pay for more prisons because we could. If most people on death row would rather die than be left in prison. They look forward to the last day. Sure. Some don't, but being thrown in prison is a horrible thing for them. On the other side, most people are saying, "I don't want my tax money going to keeping these rapists and murderers
Wouldn't
alive."
abortion would be a good thing?
What?
If they're going to end up in jail and die anyway. So
So you're going to determine ahead of time? Or they could be president, right?
Well, they could be.
How about you give them the same choice that you had? That's what I'm saying. Hey, freedom to choose, there's your choice. Let them choose what path they take.
Isn't it the case that half of all pregnancies end in miscarriage? I think if you look at the Society for
I don't think it's that
Obstetrics,
high.
it's pretty high. It's very high. You should look it up if you get a chance.
It could be nowadays. It could be nowadays because of all the different types of birth control that we do. And I remember my wife.
So then what's the difference, though?
What?
Whether your body does it or you do it, if your body aborts a baby, what's the difference?
Maybe it wasn't a viable baby.
Yeah, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe you just fell down the stairs and your body.
Well, let's put it this way. It could be. Or you could just die of a heart attack for no reason. I've known people to just die, okay? Oh. But those were, again, that's how you were destined to die at that point. I mean, if it's not a viable, if it's not, I know where you're going to go. If it's not a viable cell, if it's not viable to survive, then your body will emit it like a foreign body. It'll get rid of it. Now, where I'm assuming where you're going is, then if that's the case, then why weren't these doomed children that are aborted were doomed from the very beginning? Is that where you're going to go with that?
No, I'm saying non-viable babies are born all the time with their brains outside of their head or their organs. That's not viable. It's not a way to live. So why are they born?
They're born because the body created the baby. We let nature take its course. When it came out, did they survive?
Yeah, but they're going to suffer for years and years. And why would you allow
again? Why are this is kind of an easy one and kind of a hard thing to say. There are a lot of people. Your view of a great life is not the same as another. I know people that are born without arms and legs. Okay, and if you ask them, do you hate the fact that your parents let you live? They'll say, no, I'm glad they decided to. You'd say, oh, You should have killed that baby. They shouldn't let that baby live. No arms, no legs. That's what kind of life is that? Who are you to decide? If the baby has no brain, like in the case of Zika children, or whatever, then they're not feeling the pain. They're not suffering, right? Yeah. But the family is, yes, I know. But again,
they will eventually. About 20% of all known pregnancies.
20. So not a large.
Okay.
But nevertheless,
that's a pretty large number, though.
It is. Considering billions of people are born every day, that's and believe me, to the person who miscarries, it's a huge loss.
Yeah,
it's a huge loss.
Sure.
I remember what we went through. It was my wife miscarried several times, and it was traumatic.
My wife has a friend like that also. She's 4 or 5, I think. It's pretty bad. So we always use the idea that we consider God like a father figure, right?
Sure.
So he created us all. He has the ability to do what he wants with us. So then why can't we do it with our bodies too? If he created us, right, he can do what he wants with us. If we create a child, why can't we do what we want with a child?
You can, but there's a price to pay, isn't there?
No, not necessarily. And then if I don't believe in your God, there's no price to pay at all.
Of course there is. Well, I don't believe in being an atheist, but I don't have a right to kill you.
No, you don't. But I'm not in your body either.
Again, again, we're talking about a child. It's your viewpoint of when a child is a child.
Sure.
And that makes all the difference in the world. You can rationalize that it's not a child because it makes you comfortable to create an abortion after the fact.
No, I don't. You can call it a child if you want. If it's in her body, she wants to do it. It's a child, but she can abort it. Obviously, I'm not saying it's not a child.
Okay,
I'm not making that case.
Well, again, my point with what you're saying is, it's the same to a Christian Republican. The reason that we don't believe you or anyone else has a right to abort a baby is we believe it's a child. You don't have a right to kill a child. Whether it's inside the body, can you kill a child once it comes?
But an adult's okay. Why is it okay for an adult? Why can you kill a murderer? Why is that okay?
Because
the Bible didn't say that, though.
Again, here's I already told you.
But you're rationalizing it, right?
No. I'm telling you why we don't.
No, you're telling me why you're rationalizing. That's what you're telling me. So you rationalized killing adults and not children. You give me a rationalization.
Humanity. Let's put it this way: what I say has no bearing on whether that guy is going to be put to death.
Yeah.
Do I?
Well, and you can.
I can say walk through death row and say, I give you all a pardon. Does that matter? No.
No, I mean, look, so you vote for people who want to change the law, right?
Sure.
You can vote for people who change that law, too. So you do have some say.
This is true. But are you saying all Republicans believe in death row? Death row and because it's the party. Let me ask you this.
They believe in capital punishment for sure.
I mean, even
you
if
believe
they
in
don't
capital
believe in,
yes.
They do provide funds for housing those people. I mean,
that's what you don't want. And that's what I was telling you earlier. We rationalize it, humans, as in, I don't want to keep this loser alive. I want vengeance. And that's how our laws are written to accommodate our personal vengeance.
That works the other way, too. So mothers rationalize by saying, I don't want to take care of this child the rest of my life.
This is true, but how many people are, the difference is, hear me out. The difference is people actually want to protect. Oh, okay, we can change that law, but nobody wants to. On either side of the aisle. But there are some, now you can, if you guys feel strongly about it, save those on death row. You just got to get enough votes behind you to go after that, okay? We, on pro-life of babies, feel strong enough about it to pursue it in every way we can to change that law so that we don't kill babies anymore.
We don't have any problem. We will follow you. We will support you in that.
In what?
In that venture of making abortion illegal. I don't have any problem with that, as long as you follow everything that comes after. If you provide health care,
120% with you.
Provide health care for that kid. Provide schooling. Provide college.
Yeah,
I mean.
See, you try to lump me in with everybody else. Again, we're not all the same, man.
No, I'm not.
I am 100% behind you.
You just say Christians in general.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if that is the platform, then why vote for people that do that? They don't want to do that. I mean, vote for people like Mitch McConnell. He does not want to do that.
No.
Again, our immediate concern at this point is to save the life. Okay, if we don't save the life, we don't have to worry about any of the other. Okay, our immediate concern is save the life, but I am 300% behind you. My wife is 300% behind you. And I've said this to the guys I hang out with, and some agree, some don't. Again, you can't say Christians. There are Christians that believe that. There are atheists that believe that. There are people on all sides, Democrats, Republicans, that they don't want to have to pay for somebody else. But I have no problem with it, and I literally do. Every time I give to the poor, every time I give to orphanages and support widows or whatever, I am doing exactly that within my sphere of influence. All I can do.
Or when you pay taxes, you do that.
What's that?
You're paying for other
Unfortunately,
people.
my taxes do things I don't want it to do, as well as things I want it to do. Yes,
I mean, that's just.
I don't have a problem. In fact,
I mean,
you know,
that's-
the Bible actually, Old Testament. I wish it was Old
I mean, that's
Testament.
with our
something-
taxes too. I mean, it goes to wars that we don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. That's just part of being the minority in a particular point of view. That's what it comes down to. But the Bible also, Old Testament, unfortunately, well, technically, the New Testament. As I said, I've read this thing several times, okay? And I'm just going to tell you the facts. In the Old Testament, God tells the Jewish people, if a poor man asks you for money, do not close your hand to him. You give and never close. And then he finishes it by saying, I am the Lord your God. I command you. Never close your hand to someone who's asking you for something. The poor, give to the poor. Take care of the widow. Huh?
I mean, you can go to Jericho and destroy everybody in the city, but you cannot deny the poor. That makes no sense. Like this is a monster that you're describing to me, but a psychopath. But I know. But the things that he does and he allows is no dictator on earth has ever been that bad. It's worse than anybody you can imagine.
I wish I could explain why. I know in my mind.
You can explain it, but it's not gonna make any sense.
Yeah, it won't to you. It won't to you. It won't.
It won't.
And I understand there's some things we talk about, you won't get it. And I'm good with that. What I can explain to you is out of the 66 books of the Bible, 59 of them, and not just one time, multiple times over and over in those books, tell you don't neglect the orphan, the widow, or the poor that live among you, or the alien that lives among you. Explain that one to me.
It also says
look
take
how
the
we
young
behave
woman-
with, quote, illegal aliens. I don't get it. I don't get it. We're
I mean,
supposed to
the
be...
things that you just described goes totally against the Republican platform.
Not totally.
Totally. I mean, all those, they don't want to take care of the orphans.
Immigrants.
They don't want to take care of the sick. They don't want to take care of the immigrants.
Well, here's the thing. What they don't want, and I disagree with some of this, but what they don't want is the government to take care of all this. They want people to take care of all this. So let's get that straight. In other words,
I mean,
they don't want...
government is people,
I
right?
don't know what that means.
Yeah,
In other
I
words, my tax money to take care of it, I will take care of it out of my own pocket.
But people don't
you,
do that.
you can't
We
take
do.
care of it.
No, not on the scale you need to. There's no way that's the case.
Not on the scale we need to. I agree.
mean-
I'm not going to argue that point.
I mean, there is not even Jeff Bezos as being as rich as he is. He cannot take care of people. I
He
mean,
can, but he chooses not to.
No, he cannot. He does not have enough money to do that.
He can
He-
do what
I
he
mean-
can do.
He has. I mean, he is the
Bill
richest
Gates,
person in the world.
He
but
can do what Bill
cannot.
Gates and what's his face, Warren Buffett and all them are
All
doing. When
those
they die,
people
they give
put
it all to
together.
charity.
All those
That's
people
a
put
great
together.
thing.
They
I
cannot
don't
take care
agree
of
with their politics,
Yeah.
but I agree with that
Yeah,
sentiment.
you can give it away. It wouldn't be enough. Not
Yeah.
nearly enough.
But
you need
know,
trillions.
this is the thinking that causes us not to. I can't make much of an effect, so I'm not going to try.
Sure.
I say try.
Set an example.
Don't quit. No, you haven't even started the fight and you're quitting. They set an example. I hope Jeff Bezos takes all that money that he's looted from from this country and the world and donates it to the poor when he dies,
He's
or
going to
now.
Mars.
I mean, he could live on 1/10 of all of that comfortably.
Easily. But he's going to Mars instead, so it's not going to be nothing left over.
I know.
So
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we have to decide. I mean, if we really do want to
It's individual
help
choice.
those,
We're back to that again.
I mean,
Everyone, rich, poor, middle,
Mm-hmm.
were to just give a little bit of what they have to those that don't have, this world would be much better. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. Just give. Just be unselfish for a few minutes in your life every day.
yeah.
Every day, just a little bit. I'm not telling you give up your whole checking account. Just give a little bit of what you have every day.
I'm giving it my
Give
time
up-
right now.
Yeah, well, yes. Or hey, give up your cup of Starbucks coffee
That's right. I don't drink coffee.
every morning. How much do you spend on that Starbucks, that Venti or whatever? Hey,
I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
He does.
I don't like coffee.
Oh, you don't? Okay, sorry.
No, I drink the other caffeine with Coca-Cola.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Coca-Cola.
Well, so, would you be willing to give up a Coke to make sure that a child gets to eat?
I mean, I don't want to bring this up, but I mean, I do give my first hour of work. It goes to charity. Every day. I mean, it's out of my check. It's taken out. I mean, I didn't want to. I don't want to say that, but
you could say.
And I've been.
I know why he doesn't want it, because he's a humble man. I get it.
I've been doing it ever since. I mean, when I was even making $7 an hour, at Mervin's. That was a long time ago.
Sorry about that.
I mean, I do that, so that's not nothing big. I mean, that's something that I do it on my own.
If everyone just did that, how much this world would be different.
The thing
is,
is,
not even just the country, the world would be different.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's not going to make the difference.
And so you have to force the issue.
Yeah,
by changing the laws.
Yeah. Really, you do. I mean, in some ways, it may be true. And again, just because someone declares themselves to be a Christian doesn't make them a Christian.
Yeah.
I told you the proof has to be in the pudding. If they say they're Christian and they're not giving to the poor, I'm going to laugh at them. And I'm sure God will be entertained to hear their rationale when they get up there and kneel before him.
Yeah.
Because he told them what he expects of them. It was very clear. There was no vagueness in the words that he used. He spoke that straight up. So if they are, and I know it's convenient to throw all Christians on the bus, but I know a lot of good God-fearing Christians that I know a dear buddy of mine who did fostering forever, he and his wife, and he was ready to give it up because he was getting heartbroken every time they take the babies away from him. But also their stories and how broken some of these children are when they arrive. And they I need to make sure they both get credit. They adopted the last one. This is a white guy, and the baby is a Hispanic, African-American mix. Mm-hmm. Beautiful boy. I love that kid. Happy, and he's going to have a full life. He's a Christian, as far as I'm concerned, and he's got a passion for babies. Mm-hmm. And I understand.
Everybody loves babies.
I love babies.
I love babies. I don't have any problem with babies.
Well, some people don't. Now we're rationalizing. Not everybody does. That's the weird thing. Unfortunately, I've seen some of the wicked things people do to babies.
We all have.
Yes, so we can't say all.
I mean, we're not saying there's not evil.
Yeah.
I mean, there is evil. Yeah. I mean, there is no doubt about that.
And the difference between you and I, and again, I know you guys are, what do you call it, love babies. I accept that wholeheartedly. But where you believe a baby is what makes a difference. Mm-hmm. Because if you saw babies as I see babies, where that starts, you'd be saying, I can't deal with it.
Our difference is, well, at least mine is, if you can choose to produce a life, then you have up till the time that I would say that, it's starting to form a baby. You have
well, let me ask you.
You have some sort of a control there.
Well, let me ask you this question. In California, if a pregnant woman is murdered by somebody, and then, of course, the baby dies, that man can be tried for the murder of the woman and the unborn baby. Can't have it both ways. Is it a baby or not? If it was just a group of cells, why is he getting convicted twice of murder?
Well, the reason for that is because the other person does not have a right to kill that person or
kill what? It's just a bundle of cells. You can't have both sides of this argument.
Yeah, you can. How? Because that's her baby.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a baby. If it's a baby, then no one has a right to kill it. She can't kill her own baby. Actually, if it's a baby,
you can, because the law says you can.
As of right now. So this is true. Again, this is the
part. What you're arguing.
What I'm arguing is, okay, let me see if I can rewind. Either the baby is a baby, and therefore it's treated like a baby all the time across the board on all the laws, or it's not a baby when it's in the womb, and therefore it can't be treated as a baby under another circumstance. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because if she believes it's a baby, then doesn't that mean everybody's baby is a baby at the same stage of life?
I don't.
Otherwise, I can just say, this child isn't really human, and I decided to take this child's life because I decided it's not human. What you believe
is not important.
No,
A baby is a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to be mean or
Yeah, I'm not arguing
please
that.
don't take it as
Yeah,
argumentative.
I'm not.
I'm simply saying what we believe as human or not human, because for the longest time African Americans were not considered human.
I know.
Okay, what we believe is irrelevant. Okay, we have to have an unbiased opinion, and I believe God has that. He knows African Americans are human. He knows that babies are babies from the very point He gave them life. So I don't think we have any leg to stand on by saying, well, there's a lot of things that are the law that I disagree with, and just doesn't even hold water. It doesn't even make any sense. There's a lot of unjust laws out there. Doesn't make it right. If you see an unjust law, you try to change it. If the majority of society says, no, I don't want to change it, well, then the minority either has to deal with it or have to find a way to change it so their views are reflected in the law. That's the best way I could say that.
No, it makes sense to me. I mean,
And that's what they're doing. I mean, we're all playing in the same football field. And we all have to play by the same rules. Now, there's a lot of gray areas in those rules, and some people are seeing those gray areas and are doing flea flickers and all kinds of little things to get into the end zone.
Yep.
But their goal is to make sure their team is scoring.
Sure.
That's what it comes down to. And again, it's unfair to say if a Christian is Republican, they believe everything that the Republican Party believes. That's not true. Just like just because you guys are Democrats, you don't believe everything Democrats believe. Otherwise, we'd be communist because some of those guys are communist thinking. You know who I'm talking about. And others are very rational. They're very close to being Republican.
Yeah. I call that irrational.
What's that? Being
You said-
Democrat?
you said- No, you said rational, almost Republican. That's irrational to me. Like
What
you
is
said, they're almost Republican, right? They're rational. They're almost Republican. I would say that's being irrational, being Republican. It's like that.
Oh, I didn't know I said rational.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't even know I said rational. Well, no, I'm just saying they rationalize it.
Oh, sure.
Again, I tend to think most of the country is in the middle. They may be Republican, but more centrist. They may be Democrat, but they're more centrist.
Yeah.
There are some that are on the far left and some that are on the far right, and their human experiences have drawn them in that direction. Excuse me. But in the end, I believe that is where most people are. But again, they're willing to put up with a lot of junk so that the things that are important to them come into law, because they can't have it. No one can have it all their way. You just can't. I know some people think they have a right to that, but they just, hey, if you're living with other humans, you got to deal with the fact other humans think a certain
Compromise.
thing.
I mean, there's only one side that I see, that's providing rational to their, if they tell you that we believe in this thing, then we're following up with that stuff too. If you believe in you have a right to carry a baby, then we're willing to provide all the things that come with that. We're not just saying, okay, yeah, you have to carry this baby, but once that baby is born, you're basically on your own.
And so you make no exceptions, right, for like rape
Yeah.
or whatever.
Let me put it this way. I do.
You do.
Yeah, and to understand how others are feeling, you really have to put yourself in that position, and you have to feel it and go, okay, I get your position. What I think is that we have made the laws so simple that we go out and have careless sex, and I got pregnant. No big deal. I'll just abort it. That's where we are in society today. Abortion is like birth control. It's the new birth control. No
So
big deal.
you don't believe in birth control, or do you?
I do.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And there's too many ways to have birth control without having to take that other path. And I
So the
understand children
Republican
make
Party
bad
does
choices.
not want to provide that.
Not all of them. Some of the Republican Party does. They just don't want you doing stuff like that in schools. And I'm not saying I agree with everything. There's an age at which I think they should be taught sex education and birth control, all that, with the parents' permission, because the parents should have the last word in their children's lives on things like that. And I see that as a public service, and I think that's a way to avoid abortions. I don't like the day after pill or whatever that thing's called, because I know that's what that is. And my daughter and I got into a huge argument over that, because she's pro-life, she's Democrat, far left, she's a Bernie guy.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes. And we got in a huge argument over it, because she says that it's not an abortion. It's not an abortion. It is if you ended up pregnant. If you didn't end up pregnant, it is an abortion. It just depends on when conception actually takes place. She wants to think that conception takes place, I think her view was immediately, or it doesn't happen. No, it can sometimes be a week or so. I looked this up on the internet. Medically, you can have sex on one day, and it'd be several days, several weeks, in fact, before you actually conceive.
so you believe there's a soul in what, the embryo, or even like the first few cells is that what you think? Like,
I don't know. I do know that if you leave that embryo alone, it becomes a fetus. In most cases, unless the body flushes it out, that embryo becomes a fetus, and that fetus becomes a baby, what we call a baby. Because obviously, there have been cases where the baby wasn't ready to come out, but we had to cut it out. Could we just cut it out and kill it right then and there? Because it's a baby. I can't wrap my brain around anything else. She couldn't wrap her brain around the other side of that. I love her. I raised her. She went to my church.
what did you do wrong?
I raised my kids to think for themselves, and she's very strong-willed. I raised my girls to be to not take crap from men. I told them if a man ever raised their hand to you, call me. Yeah. I'll take care of the rest. So I'm human again. I don't judge my God by what I do.
Yeah.
The choices I make, because my God can stand on his own deeds that he's done.
Or maybe the Bible's wrong. Maybe turn the other cheek is the wrong approach.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't
look the
believe
other
so.
way.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I just believe I couldn't deal with it. My flesh couldn't deal with the fact someone was hurting my kid.
I don't think most people can, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's your kid or your wife, or you imagine that? Just turn the other cheek. It seems good.
I've done that in my own life.
Have you?
Oh yeah.
So
A
if somebody
lot.
hit your wife, you turn the other cheek?
that I can't on me.
Yeah.
I can accept a lot of crap
Yeah.
being thrown at me. I've done it a lot.
Sure.
But I believe it's my job as a father, as a husband, to protect my family. And where I fail in that, I'm supposed to love my wife as myself, actually more than I love myself. I'm supposed to be willing to die for her. That, to me, tells me I need to defend her, protect her, keep her safe.
So doesn't
Same
that
thing with my
contradict with the commandment to, not commandment, but the...
It is a commandment, that turn the other cheek.
How does that work?
It doesn't, because I don't follow the rule. Technically, I'm supposed to say...
But you said the
walk
Bible
away.
requires you to protect your wife, right?
Yeah.
How can it do that until you turn the other cheek?
That's how
also?
I rationalize it, because
see.
it didn't. The again, my rationalization on life, how I put it together. Sure. But it says I'm supposed to love my wife more than myself. Well, I'm not supposed to love myself. I'm supposed to turn the other cheek. I'm supposed to give until it hurts. So technically, I'm supposed to do that for my wife. My flesh won't allow. And I'll be honest with you. Some of that, a lot of that, now that I'm thinking about it, is my pride. How dare you? It's my pride getting in the way. It's not that his commandment isn't strong and true and faithful. It's my flesh says, no, I don't want to do that. You're not just hurting her, you're humiliating me. My flesh says, I can't cope with it. I will defend my family. I can't stand the thought of losing my wife. I didn't say I was perfected. I'm just saying I'm walking this life the best I can, dealing with the things the best I can.
So just to go on to another topic for a few minutes, why, Bernie, was such a problem for people on the other side. Well, what was the problem with Bernie?
Problem with Bernie.
I just wanted to hear.
Well,
I've never heard any.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about it, I've thought about that myself, to be honest with you, because the New Testament, the New Testament church lived a life like Bernie. Did you know that? Did you guys know that? Book of Acts?
Oh.
They gave up everything, gave it to the community, and they shared everything with one another. It wasn't until the Roman persecution they were forced to break up and leave Jerusalem and scatter.
That's not what Bernie's saying. To give up everything.
No, to share. Share everything with everyone, equal. No one's richer than the other. No one's poorer than
That's
the
not what
other.
he's saying.
That's not-
He's never said that.
Well,
actually.
he's saying
never said that.
Well, he
He
let's
says
put it this
tax
way.
the rich, but not to make them equal to everybody else.
Well, no, tax the rich more than you tax the poor.
A progressive tax, yeah.
Okay, well, the problem is that isn't what the Bible says. The rich is supposed to be treated the same as
He's
the poor.
not. He's not a Christian. Who cares what the Bible says?
Okay, well,
You're right. It doesn't
then
matter.
you said what I have a problem with Bernie.
No. You're saying that he said those things. He didn't say those things. He didn't make everyone equal.
No. I'm saying that's communist as far
He's
as I
not a
can.
communist.
No, hear me out.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the New Testament church was communist by our standards, right? But that's not where we are today. And as far as my problem with Bernie is, technically what he's saying goes against what the Bible says. Okay, you're supposed to treat everyone fairly. You're not supposed to take the side of the poor over the rich just because they're the poor, and you're not supposed to take the side of the rich over the poor just because they're rich. So if you're saying unfairly tax the rich, there's a part of me that says, yeah, go ahead. You heard me. Yeah, go ahead. I don't think, what's his face? Bezos is going to miss a few billion if it helps feed the poor. Just saying. But I feel like we're stealing from them if they're not giving it of their own free will. If you don't like it, make a law like Bernie's trying to do.
And
that's what
like
he
Bernie's
was-
trying to do, that says that this is what is going to happen, right? However, now keep in mind, not everyone agrees with him. Obviously, most people don't agree with him because you can't change the law. Otherwise, he would have won the election. He would have won this law. In fact, he couldn't even get his $15 an hour passed with his Congress and his president in his pocket. So
No, they're not in his pocket. Biden is not a dirty player.
yeah, he's a Democrat. Hold on. He's a Democrat, isn't he? Don't they all believe Bernie?
No, he's not a Democrat.
Oh, independent.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
He's Cox, but he's not a Democrat.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
he caucuses
Biden
with
didn't
him,
want $15. It
sorry?
was forced into his agenda.
Yeah, he never wanted.
He
that.
never wanted.
forced into his agenda. Is this how we rationalize? He wanted $20 an hour, probably.
He doesn't
No,
want
he
any of that stuff.
he didn't want it.
Corporate
He pushed
Democrats,
for it.
Corporate
No.
Democrats don't want a minimum
No.
wage increase. Their donors don't want an increase, so they don't want it either.
Well, no, I'm saying Bernie.
Yeah,
wanted
Bernie
it.
wants it,
That's-
yeah. Bernie
I thought
wanted
you kept saying he. I'm saying
No, Biden.
No,
Biden.
Biden didn't
I
want
wasn't
it.
talking about Biden.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I knew that.
Well, you said he was in his pocket, but his
No, I was talking about Bernie. In other words, Bernie wanted $15 an hour.
Of course he did.
However,
Yes.
the party did not.
No.
The majority wins.
Yeah.
Same thing happens in the Republican Party. And there's the reason why Republican Party was basically split. Several Republicans voted for Biden over Trump because that's not why they joined the party.
Yeah.
To behave like Trump.
it's true.
And so
$15 minimum wage was a problem, and the tax. What else? I mean, what was it? What was the other?
well, if you're talking about the economy, especially in the situation you're in right now, putting restrictions on businesses, $15 an hour would have broke a lot of small businesses. Okay, period. Restaurants can't do that. You can't have busboys making $15 an hour unless you are willing to pay $100 for a hamburger, on your drive-through. You just can't do it. It won't work. So if you start putting businesses out of work, guess what? Now there are people unemployed. Unemployed people need jobs. Most of them, if they're working at a restaurant, don't have much of an education to get a job at IBM or wherever. Unemployment's high, and so you have to find a balance. You can't. This is why I view I used to think I was extreme right, but then after I saw Trump, I realized, well, I must be way in the center.
So if you're a busboy, do you have a right to live?
Do you have a right to live? Sure.
So,
A living wage is what you're saying.
No, not living wage. Do you have a right to survive?
Of course he does.
Decently. Do you have a right to?
He has a right to go to school. He has a right to do whatever he needs to do to pull himself up. What's wrong with that? I mean, isn't that what you did? You went to school, or you? We all have a right to live, but the choices we make, we have to live with the consequences. Let's be honest. Just because, let me put it this way: if I decide I want to quit work today, you going to support me?
No, what I'm saying is, if you are working as a busboy, and
I have, by the way, I've washed dishes. I worked my way up that chain, dude.
I mean, yeah,
Many times.
I mean, we all have done entry level jobs.
Yep. Years.
But does that mean you have to suffer for the rest of your life?
No. You can work multiple jobs. You can do anything you want. This is a wonderful country. You can do anything you want, or you can not do anything you want.
So having multiple jobs, isn't that suffering?
Surfing?
I mean, it's suffering.
I wouldn't recommend it long term.
Let's put it this way. I worked 2 full-time jobs, went through college. Yeah, it suffered. I suffered pretty good, but I did it. I'm not saying everyone can do that, but you know, the choices we make have consequences. If the reason I didn't finish college and the reason I ended up being a blue-collar worker, which, by the way, I'm blessed for a blue-collar worker, as people know that have been to my house, the choices you make have consequences. If you don't finish college or finish your education or have a path chosen, you decide you want to stay home and smoke pot, which a lot of our generation today seem to be loving, you made a choice. That's why you live in your mom's basement. Didn't tell you to move there. I told you get out and to get a job. Right now, it's hard to find a job, and that is a whole other topic. But
so where is the restaurant gets that busboy if that busboy is a college educated working as an astronaut? Where
what?
where would he find a busboy?
It's
The
same place.
restaurant.
Kids who want weekend jobs, and I've been working since I was 13. Yes, I know that wasn't legal, but I did. Back then, they just didn't ask you for a Social Security card. They just wanted you to work, and I just wanted money. So I worked. I worked in dish rooms. Then I worked my way up to waiting, and actually became chief cook. I've worked in restaurants forever. I know what that life is, man. And it's a smelly job. It's disgusting jumping into those dumpsters. But I did it because I wanted the money. I was willing to do what it took.
So if you wanted it and you were willing to do that job, why do you have to be paid on a slave wages? I mean, why does it have
Because
to be that?
that's what that job pays.
Who decides that?
The owner of the job, owner of the company.
No.
Of course. Let me put it this way. Just because you decided that you deserve to make the same as the
why-
CEO of
why-
the company you work at, are you entitled to that? Why aren't you making what the CEO makes? You
Because
sound like Bernie now.
no, because CEO of the company decided they're not going to pay that.
That's right. So the owner of the restaurant decided they can't afford to pay that. If they paid you that, they understand they got to go out of business. They have to. The reason people
But there
start
is
businesses
a there
is to
is
make a
a
profit.
there is a floor, right?
Sir?
We still have a floor.
Yeah, you know,
It's
when I
a
was working,
7
I was making $3.25 an hour. You cried about $7. I was $3.25.
Well,
and when I was married, I was making $7 an hour.
When you were making $3.25, gas was 59 cents a gallon.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So I mean, $3.25 was more like
When I was working,
or more like $15 an hour. at
when I
that
was
time.
when I was working, when I was married and working at Trammell Crow, I was only making $7.25 an hour, and I decided to work the late shift to get an additional 25 cents an hour. Okay,
So
that's
one of-
choices that I make because I decided that's where. But also, what I did was while I was working there, I said I'm going to learn everything I can while I can, and I took every. You know, they had a expense account for education. I maxed it out. I spent every penny they had at continuing my education, and learned everything I possibly could. And in my mind, I had already said, one day I'm going to own my own business. And I started the business working that on the side while working full time until it became self-sustaining.
There is no argument there. I mean,
Now, let me ask you.
nobody's arguing.
Let me
that.
ask you. Do you think I could have ran or built a company if I had to pay everyone the same amount I'm getting paid?
I mean, then maybe there's something wrong with your business. You're not charging enough your customers. Maybe you're spending money somewhere that you're not supposed to. The business maybe not managed well. There is a problem
I've
somewhere.
ran my business since '96. All right, I'm blessed.
Yeah,
all right.
mean,
But
I don't
the
have
reason
a-
it works is you
I
have
don't
to
have that
stay
answer.
within.
What I have an answer. What I'm saying is
You cannot
there-
do what
there
you're
is-
saying. You cannot.
I mean,
Okay,
How do-
it's okay
there
to
is
pay
a-
some people
I mean,
$15
there-
an hour,
No.
but not other people because the reason is in order for there's a hierarchy in business. Okay, you can't pay the dishwasher the same amount that you're paying the head cook. There's a skill level involved, and you get paid according to that skill level.
and
as I
there's
said,
no argument there.
okay, so if you're a busboy, you're making way too much at $15 an hour at today's level of expenses in a certain city. Again, that's citywide. Now, California, obviously $15 an hour barely buys you a roll of toilet paper because inflation over there is ridiculous. Texas, $15 an hour, you're living pretty large. Okay,
What do you
not huge.
30,000 a year? What is that?
But there's a lot of people. My wife makes $30,000 a year. What's the big deal with that?
But you also, I mean, you're
Saying
married.
living large.
You're married though. She's not on her own making
Well,
30,000 a year.
This is true, but there are others who make $30,000 a year that are good with that, and they understand that the more they learn, like my wife, the more you'll make. Yeah, you limit yourself by deciding what are your priorities. I've had employees that work for me that I paid $20 an hour, and they chose to not show up for work when they were supposed to. If you gave them a paycheck on Friday, they guarantee they're not going to show up on Monday. This is the world. Again, depends on, you're assuming everyone is a white collar work and they want to show up for work on time. And I've been an employer. I've hired people. There have been some good people, but the vast majority, I've just been disappointed. Just disappointed. It turned out I had to pull their weight and mine. It was ridiculous. You know, I let them drive my vehicles home with them. I told them, next day I need you to be at this job at this time. Customer calls me 2 hours later. Where's your guy? He said he was supposed to. All right, let me find out.
Yeah.
This is the problem we have. You are paid according to what your job.
So then why pay $7.25 an hour?
You don't have to take the job. You understand that, right? You could just say no, I'll stay home.
Why make a floor of $7.25? Why not make it 25 cents an hour?
I have no idea. I don't think every country has minimum wage. Does it?
Most industrialist countries do.
They do.
Do they?
European.
I'd love to
Yeah.
look that up.
Yeah.
But
England has
again,
a $15 an hour minimum
look
wage.
at their
and depending
inflationary
on-
prices.
and
How much is gas over there? You $15 an hour? That wasn't free. Now
I mean,
your gas costs
that's
you more than your
depending on
hourly
their-
wage.
It depends on their age too. So if you're past 25, then it goes up to 20 something dollar an hour. So
The problem is the higher you, it's inflationary. In a simple, I wish it wasn't so, but why don't we do this? Why don't we take all the money and just pay everybody $1 million every year? Sounds like a great idea. I could do a lot with $1 million. Why? Because that'd be immediately inflationary. Immediately. But you're seeing it at a smaller level now. You say 15, then businesses think, oh, you know, he can afford a little bit more if I charge him for this widget. Everybody just starts charging more. And did you notice that whenever prices go up, it never goes back down? They just say, oh, they can afford it. We'll start at this level. And that's how it always is. Everything moves up, and then suddenly you're stuck there. It's like with gas. It takes forever to, it goes up like this, but it takes forever to get back down, no matter what, supply and demand says.
So that's been happening for decades, though. Prices go up, but the minimum wage is still the same. Why? I mean,
Let's put it this way. I don't mind a minimum wage hike.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to calculate what the right number is. Because 15 is, again, I'm telling you, you can't have $15 an hour and expect to pick up a $5 burger at Burger King. Ain't going to happen. It is not going to
I'll
happen.
be willing to pay $6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can have a bun. $6, you'll have the bun. Good luck with that. Because that's not how that works.
Mean, we have places that pay more than $15 an hour.
And you pay for it.
In-N-Out it starts you at $15.25 an hour. And you get a burger for $4 something.
Where? Here? In Texas?
Yeah. In-N-Out, they have a big sign.
You
You go to Shake Shack. Shake Shack sells a burger for $8.
I would say I'd have to see how long they last in Texas.
They're doing
much
well.
less.
I mean, their employees.
I can tell you I didn't like their burger, but that has nothing to do with the price.
I mean, you walk
and they're
into-
expensive too. Did you notice that?
Who, Shake Shack?
Yeah, I think it was In-N-Out.
Yeah, In-N-Out is not expensive. It's $4 something.
No,
For their-
I didn't find anything for $4, and they don't give you much of a
No,
menu.
we're
either.
talking about a burger.
But it's a moot point.
I mean, they pay $15.25.
I did not know that. I would be shocked to see that if they're paying that as a
because
minimum.
they are sustaining those kind of wages because their employees are happy. You walk into their restaurants, they always have a smile on their face. They're willing to come around and pick up your trash, everything.
Chick-fil-A
You're
doesn't,
happy.
and their employees are willing to do whatever and smile at you and greet you happily and all
They
that.
pay $15 an hour. That's another.
Chick-fil-A does not pay you $15
Yes,
an hour.
do.
dude.
They do.
You saying the dishwasher is getting paid $15 an hour? I
minimum-
understand the cook might. I understand the manager might, but not manager makes more. I bet you, but I don't think they'll.
They don't have managers. They have owner operators. So
They have managers. I know people at Chick-fil-A. They have owners, but they have managers that run the show.
I mean, it's an owner
And assistant
operator.
managers.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it is owner operator, but again, the owner gets to decide, and if they want to work, which the ones I go to, I know the owner. I've known him since I was a kid. He doesn't run the show. He just manages the overall, all the chains that he has.
I mean, the businesses they're not paying are mainly because they're not very well run businesses. I mean, that's what I was saying. I mean, McDonald's is not paying because
I
disagree. I don't go to
I'll put it that
McDonald's.
way. I don't see how it's possible.
Yeah, I don't go to
no,
McDonald's because their employees are never happy.
I don't go because I don't like. I like
give
the
you-
fries, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't give
Bad
you bad service.
They do give you bad service,
Um,
but then they pay the price for that. Let's put it this way:
on the other hand, their CEO takes home $25 million a year.
they're a publicly
Selling
traded
burgers.
company, and that's how they decided to go. Again, now let's go back a little bit. You said freedom of choice, right? If I run a business, I take on all the headaches, the tax burdens, everything else. I have the choice to pay you what I want. If you don't want to, you have the choice not to take my job. That is a choice. I'm not forcing that on you. No one asked the guys that work in the dish room to work for that, right? If they don't want to work there, they can go across the street to Burger King. Unfortunately, their education level requires them to stay right there, or they have to go to school and better themselves and choose a different path. There are trade schools. Our government will pay for your education to go to trade schools.
There is no argument there. I mean,
Okay,
that's not
so
an argument.
well, the
That's
problem,
not if you choose to work for 25 cents an hour, that's your choice.
exactly.
To
If
do
you choose
that.
to work for $7 an hour, that was your choice that you made.
That's
And-
your
and
choice to do that.
That's right.
That is not an argument. The argument is why have that? I mean, why not have slaves like we used to? It was free.
Can we now I'm 12 minutes over the
Okay,
target.
okay.
But this is a good topic. I'd love to come back and
we'll
this also. Yes, but with the slave, they don't have a choice. Sum it up quickly. Everyone that works today works because they choose to work at that job, or they will starve and they choose not to starve, and that's a choice that, again, freedom of choice, right? And that's what this is all about. Is you have a right to choose. The business owner has a right to choose. The employees have a right to choose, and people at Amazon are striking now, and they're going to do what do you call it?
Yeah, they have a right to do it.
And you sorry.
Oh, it's anyway.
I wasn't sure you kept me
we'll,
out of
we'll
it.
wrap it up here.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks for coming in, John. We appreciate you.
All right, thanks. Thanks, John.
Good to see you. Yeah. Take care.